Okay, we are back once again on the Ultimate Sports Network talking about real boxing talk, and we have decided to look at the Alexis Arguello, Aaron Pryor, I almost said Richard Pryor, Aaron Pryor #1 fight, which, according to Ring Magazine, was in its top 10 of fights of all time. And here we are at round one, and just have at it, gentlemen, because this is going to be fun.
Frank, real fast, Arguello would have definitely knocked out Richard Pryor. So, the fight would have already been over by this point. So this is not Richard Pryor going mano a mano with Arguello.
Well, we know that Richard Pryor and Alexis Arguello had some of the same appetites, but we won't go into that. Okay.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, this one really started fast. This was like, whoa!
Yeah, it was. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I just think too that the pace is key from the start, because I think that's what Aaron Pryor probably purposely did. I mean, a lot of people didn't think he had a lot of strategy, but I think that he wanted to get Arguello outside of his comfort zone, and he's doing that because he's pushing him up against the ropes. He's not waiting at all to create the action, and I think that's going to be key throughout this bout.
And as we've seen Arguello before, Arguello is measured, scientific. He is a skilled boxer. And Pryor, not to say that he's not, said, you know what, I'm having none of that. Jumping on you right now. You have to figure it out. I'm going to put pressure on you. You figure out what I'm doing. Keep me away if you can. But I don't think you can.
Yeah, Arguello was a puncher. Frank, he's moving up weight. He's still knocking guys out. I mean, not as quickly as he did before, but like the straw man, he's very thin, but see, he's getting hurt by those shots.
Right.
You can see his legs are doing a little chili dip there, and he's feeling them. We're Pryor, and we see it all the way through the fight. Pryor's just got a cast iron chin. He just, we'll talk about that later. Some of those punches are just mind-boggling. But what made this fight so good, and I remember Arguello was a pretty good favorite going into it. So you're talking about the scientific boxer-puncher in Arguello. Pryor's unorthodox, kind of awkward, but he's one of those guys relentless guys that would have drove you nuts, no matter what sport you were playing with him. He's like, he won't stop, different angles and uppercuts. And, it's Jekyll and Hyde here, and that's what made this fight so phenomenal.
He just threw a lead uppercut.
Yes.
You don't do that.
It's a rule breaker.
Yeah, you don't do that.
But I think part of it too, though, with the factor that he's so unorthodox, you would think that people would be able to defeat him and figure it out if he's so wild. But the factor that all of the fights that he was involved in, he still had an 87% KO rate.
Right.
And the Wales KO rate was 72%. With all that in mind, if he's so bad and so unorthodox, why in the hell couldn't somebody knock him out? It just that's the question. And particularly with this fight, when you think about that,
he comes running off the stool. It's like, Alexis, here I come. Now, I don't know about Wild, and we had a split there, and it happened a couple times. I thought I edited it out. Sorry about that. We had I don't know about Wild. Unorthodox, I'll give you. I think that there's a plan. It's measured what he's doing. He's just not throwing from the heels. He has a plan of what he's doing. It's just different. Because you see, he throws the same punches. They're just from different angles and not what you expect. And the movement as well. So, and I used to think that too. This guy's just crazy. No, there's some science to what he's doing. It's just not the science we're used to seeing.
Yeah, and you just saw he moved to his right real fast.
Yeah.
He knows what he obviously those little jolting uppercuts that he's throwing, those are tricky, unorthodox punches that he's probably been doing all his life, and it always works. I got to throw this in. Sitting here watching this, he was going to fight Sugar Ray Leonard, and Leonard retired. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been ridiculous.
That would have been crazy. Yeah.
It's one of those things, though. And what I mean by wild, all I'm saying is, if you watch this, I watched this earlier, like even a few years ago. Sugar Ray Leonard was on the commentary team.
Right.
It was almost as if he was kind of scouting this fight as to what I would have done to him, and he just kept pointing out the bad things he was doing. He said he was very good at what he does. So my point of that is, there's ways to do things to be unorthodox. As you mentioned, Aaron Pryor had a plan. He did, and not only did he have a plan, he was able to make other guys look almost normal. Like we know Arguello used to come back when he fought Ray Boom Boom Mancini. He had a plan. He walked through. He walked you down. Take his time, and he put you down. Aaron Pryor was just he was like the bull in the china shop. He was the Tasmanian devil. He was the guy that you go, this just doesn't make sense. But then the question is, what can you do about it?
Right. And we're finding now that, okay, the first round, like I said, he's throwing lead right-hand uppercuts and all kinds of crazy, wild stuff. And now, boom, jab, 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 boom, boom, body, jab. Now he's settled down to something a little more conventional because Arguello's looking for everything now.
Well,
man,
and Sugar Ray saying that, you can find some flaws, but you try to deal with that in a fight. Okay, he was a great fighter, Sugar Ray Leonard, and he would have exploited some of the flaws, but I don't think he ever fought anybody. Yeah, I don't know if he ever fought anybody like Aaron Pryor. I mean, Aaron Pryor, there are a lot of great athletes who did things wrong. You know, going way back, they used to complain about the way Johnny Unitas used to drop in the pocket because he took little tiny steps. Hey, you don't have to do it by the book. If what you're doing is working for you, then it's working. And obviously, if he was so easy to beat or whatever, was so flawed, why did he go into this fight undefeated? You know what I mean? There have been a lot of guys who thought, I thought he looked like he was underrated.
Now we notice we go to the bottle here.
Yeah, I'm shutting up here.
You're the boss now. Roll.
Now, I thought that came later in the fight. I didn't know that happened right there. So
actually, I think it's a different. That's what you're talking about is going to come later.
It's in the 13th. It's the 13th.
It's the same thing.
Well, but then that was the case. Why did he ask for it? Anyway,
okay. We're foreshadowing here, folks. Sorry about that. Yeah, but we'll get there.
But I mean, if you look at this,
little elbow.
I think part of it is when you mentioned about Sugar Ray Leonard, and you watch how this so-called unorthodox style worked for Pryor. I tell people, you really want to know about this, just go back to the amateur fight between him and Thomas Hearns.
Right. Right.
It tells you everything, and I think it was a precursor as to why Hearns and Leonard wanted nothing to do with this.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know about the size differences. I really do in the weight classes, but I think it really tells you a little something that they knew that he was a lot better than what many people knew about Aaron Pryor.
And as we're going through this, and we've set the first 2.5 rounds, we've talked almost exclusively about Aaron Pryor. This guy he's fighting ain't bad.
Right, he's a legend. He's a legend.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
And he's starting to, okay, I get it now. I got to keep my guard up because he's coming from all kinds of different spots, but I'm going to start delivering here as well. And also understand that, and we didn't mention this at the outset, he's got Eddie Futch in his corner. Sure. So Eddie Futch may have a trick or two up his sleeve as well.
Well, yeah, you could see, he's doing fine, but it's almost like he's fighting in a survival mode because he's trying to keep Pryor off him because Pryor just keeps coming, keeps throwing punches, and Arguello moving up. I mean, he's not going to have the same power, but he's still got power. He still hurts, like I said, knocks people out. Multiple champion in other divisions. I mean, this is a great fighter. That's the thing. These are both great fighters. I just piggybacking a little bit on what you guys said. I don't really think during his time Pryor got the credit he deserves.
No, not at all.
That's what I mean. Arguello did. I mean, he was like a god. But
he was like,
but Pryor, look at Pryor.
I'm under those. I don't care.
I mean,
a little elbow, little glove to the face.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of crazy too, to be honest, but crazy in a good way when it comes to boxing because he obviously had no fear and he had a plan and he's fighting a great fighter, and he's showing him respect. But then again, he's saying, yeah, okay, but I got this. I got this. I got this. I got this. I'm here with you. I'm beating you up.
Well, you mentioned earlier about, oops, there we go.
Uh-huh.
The great ones sometimes do things a little bit differently, and if it comes to the norm, that's fine. But not everyone can do what everyone does. I always think of Dick Fosbury and the Fosbury flop. That just wasn't supposed to happen. Now everybody does it. But here we have, I don't think anyone has really been able to mimic what Aaron Pryor does, and for good reason. It's actually dangerous.
Well, yeah, it is, because you have to be able to take the punches, and for every great punch he's thrown and the connections he's making, he's eating a lot of leather too, and that says a lot about him too, and it says a lot about Arguello. But then when you look at it from that standpoint, you have to say to yourself, Pryor, whatever his strategy was coming out real fast, is really affecting the fight that will affect the fight the rest of the way too, because when you have to go that fast and stay that busy for the first 3 rounds of this fight, then it's like, damn, what else do you have left in the tank? Then you're going to find out about the endurance as well. I think that plays a huge part in this fight.
Well, Charles, you told us the story a few weeks ago or months ago, it all runs in my head now, about Pryor's training. Can you relate that real quick?
Yeah, remind me, Frank.
About how many rounds he would fight in actual sparring?
Yeah, I mean, he just went overboard. I mean, he would always go after people over and over again. And, they had one of the things where I think one of the fighters before was it Luis Resto, was on record saying that he hurt Pryor and Pryor still wanted to get right back in the ring.
Yeah.
He knew all of the tricks about things too. So when you think about it, Aaron Pryor was the reason why he's able to be such a machine the way that he is now. He would not stop.
Right.
Cincinnati, Ohio. He went to live back in Cincinnati, Ohio. The guy's like he's coming out of a trash compactor. So he does not stop. He just keeps coming. He always stayed busy. He had nothing to lose either.
I love the fan reaction there a couple of seconds ago. That it's, these are I think this fight was in Miami, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes.
These people that we see back here in the bow ties and everything, they're not in the cheap seats. And they're still going, oh my goodness. One guy went like 4 seats over because he was so excited.
Yeah, and Frank, I think I told you this story, and Charles, I saw Pryor in Vegas before he fought Arguello the second time, and you're talking about incredible shape. I think I told you he came out. I mean, it was just like this fight in a sense of the differences between the two. Arguello comes out, works for about an hour, very low key, no music, no nothing. Delay of about 15 minutes, then boom, blasting. She works hard for the money. And here comes Aaron Pryor strutting out there, and this is 3 days before the fight, right? So obviously Arguello takes it easy. Pryor, no, he doesn't take it easy. He gets to the ring and he spars 15 rounds.
Yeah.
And he's not even blowing. I mean, that's the kind of shape. And whatever you think, he knew that he had to be in tremendous shape because of the way he fights.
Right,
I mean, look
right,
at this. He
right.
can't cut any corners because
Right.
his style is to just overwhelm you in a sense. So you're right. He's never going to have. I mean, a guy who fought a little bit like him, but was a bit more of a bobbing and weaving was Henry Armstrong. He was relentless, throwing punches all the time and firing, but he was more technical in a way, but not taking anything away from Aaron Pryor. He was a great fighter, and I don't think I realized how good he was until this night. That cemented it for me.
And again, we're talking about this as if it's a shutout, and it's not. We're just amazed by what Aaron Pryor can do. But the classic fighter that Arguello is, hands held high, elbows tight, boom, boom, boom. When you watch him get off, it's boom, boom, straight left, follow it up. He's just being, at this point, overwhelmed by a guy that's busier than him, but he's not off balance, he's not off pace. He's fighting his fight. He just has to figure out how to get shots in. But look at that. I mean, that's a nice jab. He's blocking a lot of stuff. He's realized it's coming from angles. Charles, it reminds me of we were talking about the first Pacquiao-Marquez fight. Once Marquez went down, it's like, oh, I know what he's going to do now. So
Right.
that's kind of where Arguello is now. He's kind of getting an idea of Where are these punches coming from? I'm going to start picking them off. All right, now I'm going to start delivering my own.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's how it looks from the standpoint, too. But think about it, and we don't want to make it one-sided. We had to give pay homage to Arguello because of the fact that what he had done to other people.
Right.
I mean, what he did to Boom Boom Mancini was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Boom Boom Mancini wanted nothing to do with Aaron Pryor. That's why this fight is so amazing, because we know that this is a legend that we're watching.
Left hook.
He was hurt there, man.
Yeah.
He hurt a lot of people.
Just missed with that one.
On the chin. Square
right.
on the chin. Mm-hmm. Pryor was like, yeah, you got
That's
me,
nice.
But we're not done. It's like the right combination.
And
go ahead.
And I think that's where we say, okay, if this is Arguello fighting at, at one of the lower weights that he had a belt at, all right, this guy's going down. But this guy's just a little bit too solid for him to take out with one shot. But he's still there. He's still playing. Look at that. Boom, boom. Comes back, hook to the body. Every classic punch you want to call, he's got in his arsenal.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, you talk about the Boom Boom Mancini fight. The Boom Boom Mancini fight was a great fight too, and Boom Boom did well in that fight. He hung in. He wasn't really losing by much. He got stopped late. I think it was the 14th round also, but he was hanging in with Arguello, and I think Arguello was a little surprised. But see, now here goes Pryor changing his style. So I can box, I can move around, I can move, I can. So he just, I think, man, his talent was just unappreciated at the time. Okay, this one.
I think the guy that edited the film forgot to edit a spot. Nope, he wanted to get Eddie Futch in there. That's what he wanted.
Uppercut to the body, throw a left hook to the body. Keep him the right hand shot to the head.
Right hand shot.
Now, it looks like he's been in a battle, but it looks like he's okay. It doesn't look like he's, like, worried, he's worn out or anything. It's like, okay, this guy's putting a lot on me, but I'm all right.
Right. And I think, too, like when you said, John mentioned about Aaron Pryor being able to switch up. Now he's boxing a little bit more. I mean, for so many people looking at Pryor to talk about that unorthodox style, this is a great strategy. Okay, now I'm backing up a little bit. I'm still tapping you. I'm moving around. I'm on my bicycle. I'm tapping him, and I'm scoring points. And now he's still trying to figure out my opponent. That is trying to figure out what do I do now to attack him. I think that's brilliant strategy. I really do.
If you watch the first 2 rounds, this guy wasn't the same fighter in the first 2 rounds. This is completely different what he was doing in the first 2 rounds. Now he's going to dance. Now he's going to stick and move. He's going to throw a little Ali, a little head feint here. It's a wholly different guy.
Yeah, and see, Arguello is basically the same guy. He was the same guy his whole career. Sure, he was technically sound and his elbows are right. Like, all that's all great, but he wasn't very fast, as we know, and he moved forward through heavy punches and knocked a lot of guys out. But he was trying to hit Pryor with the right hand, and you're talking about, he's losing here, but I remember thinking that he's going to nail Pryor with one of these right hands like he did, and the fight's going to be over. He keeps hitting him, and Pryor isn't going anywhere. One of these times he's going to really, because Pryor seemed a little wobbled earlier, he's going to get him, but this guy is, I think there's something more to it too, guys. He's from Ohio, sure, but he had nothing, like you said, Charles, but some of those guys, they've got more than just guts. They've got extreme heart and guts, maybe because of where they came from. They came from nothing. I don't know, but these guys are do or die is what I'm trying to say. They're not thinking about, I'm never going to quit. No way. I don't care if I got a broken jaw, whatever. There's no quit in me. And that was, I think, Aaron Pryor.
Well, go ahead, Charles. Go ahead.
No, I said, I agree with you. I think that standpoint, sometimes how you come up, John, and what you've been through as far as the challenges, and then you get in a situation like this where other people may call it difficult. This guy's like, this is nothing, man.
Yeah.
I grew up, what I've dealt with. This is just another challenge, and I'm not going to let anything stop me. So I agree with you 100% with that. But I think it just shows you how great he was. Because he's not supposed to be able to do this, John, in normal capacity with a legend like this. He's not supposed.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to outbox Alexis Arguello.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can slug with him, fine. But he's supposed to be able to line you up and blast you out at some point. He is.
Well, I'm sorry, Frank. I was just going to say, you notice Pryor's just getting off first. I mean, he's getting off his corner. He's getting off his stool first.
Here we go.
Yeah, he's just ready, and he beats Arguello to the punch more. And he's just, it's like, you always see that when you watch boxing, and the trainer say, get off first, get off first. I mean, look at this. He's getting off first.
Stick and move, champ. Stick and move.
Yeah, exactly. And he's throwing uppercuts from Ohio, and he's still landing some of them. And I mean, it was just an amazing show. And I guess you would say too that it does sound a little one-sided, but I don't mean it to. Is that he's just a better athlete than Arguello in the sense that he could do more with what he had from different places, where Arguello's going to keep doing, which he did extremely well. Great.
The little elbow to the ribs there, yeah. But okay, but here's what I see, and correct me if I'm wrong. Here's what I see. Arguello's like, okay, I've tasted your power, so to speak, because it's not like Pryor's loading up. So, I've tasted what you're going to throw. I'm going to walk through that, and eventually you're going to leave your face in the wrong spot, and I'm going to wipe it off your face. I mean, that's what it looks like. Arguello's saying, okay, I'm going to get tagged with this stuff. If it comes down to points, I'm probably going to lose. But that's okay. I understand what I have to do. You're still going to be in front of me because you're going to be busy, and it's going to be the wrong place at the wrong time, and I'm going to tattoo you.
Oh.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that happens as we watch the fight, you're going to see that a couple times. Literally, where his head goes all the way back, like he's almost being decapitated.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strong punch.
And we're going to taste how tough you are.
Yeah. But I think, too, when you look at Pryor, the way he's fighting, the other thing we can't really hear it, but, I mean, they had to even warn Panama Lewis from coaching him. He's like, jab, 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 jab. I mean, it's like, wow. Because Eddie Fletcher's a little bit more reserved because he's an older guy at the time, but you could just hear him being coached by Panama Lewis. So, I mean, he already has a little bit of an upper hand, and now your guy's coaching from that corner. There's a lot going on. Aaron Pryor, with that, even is doing everything from an unorthodox manner.
Well, and there's one other thing I think that I believe Arguello think that was a nice right plays into his favor. He doesn't believe, I'm sure, that this dude can do this for 15 rounds.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I've been waiting to say, Frank, is I think he's thinking there's no way this guy can stay at work at this pace. He's going to get tired, and he does eventually get tired. And
tired and sloppy, right.
Yeah, it does happen because no human being can fight like this for an entire fight. But man, he sure tried.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he looks fresh as can be, except for that big piece of snot coming out of his nose.
He looks a little tired.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see about that.
Blowing pretty hard.
Don't go to sleep. Okay. Don't give him a chance to work. That's right. Don't go to sleep.
Go to sleep. Round 8. I mean, he's been going hard for 7 rounds. Really hard. He'll get a second wind.
And for all that's going on, Arguello hasn't really used up a lot of energy.
No.
I mean, I'm sure it takes some energy to get hit in the face a lot, but...
Yeah, he's got hit a lot, but...
Yeah, but there haven't been a lot of body shots, which you would think you would throw to a guy taller and thinner than you are, but hadn't thrown a lot of body shots. He hasn't really had to work a lot. You know what I'm trying to say.
Can you imagine if they ever had a Battle of Ohio between Aaron Pryor and Sean Porter?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
that would be crazy. It's like, I'm going to throw more punches than you. No, you're not. No, you're not.
You'd have to make that one a 25-rounder.
Yeah, their prime would have been like that. It would have been interesting to see if Sean Porter could have got close to him. I'm not sure that would have been possible.
Yeah, and Pryor is just better. He was just better. He probably would have stopped him because he just was he just was he was a great fighter.
And as ooh,
Look at that right hand.
Yeah, from all angles.
What I was going to say was the head movement before that.
He did a little that and bam with the right hand.
As he's preparing, I don't know where it's coming from. Well, I don't know. It doesn't look that Pryor knows where it's coming from, and then there it is in your face.
Well, yeah, it's like, now you see me, now you don't. Here comes the right hand. No, it isn't. Here it comes. And that was I remember when he knocked out Antonio Cervantes, he did the same thing to him. You could tell Cervantes was like, where did that punch come from? I didn't even see it. Yeah. So, he just did a lot. He did a lot more than I think we realized.
That's right, yep.
Yeah.
And I think you're right on that, though. What I find ironic about that is the fact that you mentioned, they didn't know where it was coming from. But it's like as if he didn't know. I think he knew.
Yeah,
he knew.
Yeah, I think he really knew. Here's the angle. You may not see it, but I totally understand where this is going.
Oh, yeah.
I really believe that, because it's like you can't keep doing this just on a whim.
Right.
You got to know what you're doing. You got to practice this, or you got to at least have some type of strategy.
Well, that's what we touched on earlier. It may look unorthodox to you, but I think it's scientific. I think he knows what he's doing. It just doesn't look like what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's the old cliche. There's a method to the madness.
Sure.
Right. Ooh, nice left. But see Arguello, as he's still landing. And he's finally.
Boom,
and again, another strategy. Now we get to this point in the fight. Now he's working the body. We go from throwing right hand lead uppercuts to jabbing. Now he's going to the body. He goes to another style that now Arguello has something else to worry about.
Yeah. When you look at that.
There, now body shots again. He didn't throw body shots the first 4 or 5 rounds.
Well,
now he's throwing body shots.
Yeah, it's dangerous because Arguello come over the top of that right hand like he just did a few seconds ago.
But now he's got to look for that. And like Charles said, there's a method to the madness, and I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't, spelled out. First 2 rounds do this, second 4 rounds, 2 rounds do that, third 2 rounds, to give him something else to think about.
Yeah, I think you guys made a great point. When the point of it is, he's able to do what he did early on, and now he's able to move forward because maybe the threat of him being rocked or knocked out is not as great as it was earlier in the round because of the power and the fatigue as well.
But John, you made a perfect point. He's always the one getting off first, and then he's out of range before Arguello can answer.
Yeah, Arguello clocks him every now and then, but you see, it's Pryor. He's the ring general in there. He's making the fight. He's throwing the punches. He's there. He fights like a smaller Joe Louis in a way, not plotting, but he just keeps coming forward. But he's eating a lot of punches.
Right.
Look at his left eye.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So it's not a one-sided beatdown.
Boom. But but right there it is. He's waiting for that.
That was the one right there. Well, he's got another one later, I think I remember, but that was a huge right hand, and how he took that, just amazing.
Like you said, I guess what I'm saying, you don't want to give everything away, but I'm gonna just say this: I got to give Sugar Ray Leonard some credit, because one of the things he pointed out before about this fight is when Aaron Pryor took one of those vicious hits, he found a way to come right back. It's like, I'm going to match you. I have to match you.
Yeah, and if you've ever watched really good fighters or great fighters, they always seem to do that. They almost are like insulted when somebody hits them with a good shot. They're going to come right back and say, okay, you got me, but I'm coming right back at you. And yeah, he
5, 6, 7.
Oh boy!
8, 9, 10.
See, so who won that round? Who won that round? Yeah, he got hurt with the right hand, but look what he's doing at the end of the round here. Hit him with what, seven punches? He's still hitting them. They're more glancing, but he's still scoring.
Right. Yeah, and he's rocking him.
Here's the thing that I don't get, and I never will. The Pryor always seems to be on balance while looking like he's about ready to fall over. You know what I mean? It's like if he doesn't look like he's ever centered. So if Arguello can land that right, he should topple over because, you know, your chin goes from your chin to the ground. And he's not, doesn't ever look like he's really on what we would call normal being on balance when he starts to throw those, what we're thinking are wild punches. Yet, again, that's his style. So he's prepared for it. Now, when he's doing this, he's balanced, but.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the old, he does some things wrong. You know, his head's up in the air. You know, somebody would say his head's too much up in the air.
His hands are too low, yeah.
Right, but I think like Muhammad Ali, he knew he had a great chin.
Right.
So, yeah, okay, he's going to get hit a few times, but he knew that you can hit me, but I'm not going anywhere. So call that what you want, but that's a great thing to have. Obviously, in boxing, it's great to have a great chin. But he's still moving. He's still boxing. See, here he's centered. He's boxing very well. It's just when he throws combinations, he almost looks like he's leaning forward. I know what you mean, Frank. It's like one punch is going to knock him down because he runs into punches because he's so aggressive. But he made it work, and boy, he made it work really bad on Arguello.
Yeah, I think it was those magical ponies too.
Look at that. Yeah.
Magical ponies with those little tassels.
With little tassels, yeah.
They refused to go anywhere.
Oh, nice right.
Yeah, Arguello's right there, and he can hit me with some of the best shots going down to the body. And Pryor's like, okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Here he comes. He's been aggressive.
Little smile.
Like, just waiting on you. He's like waiting. Here's bam, I got you. And just the way his angles and the way he moves in and out and avoid some of those punches while he's taking a major amount is kind of pretty clever. Want to throw that word out there again, John? He's crafty.
I was waiting, girl. And those tassels are like Muhammad Ali wore when he fought Frazier the first time. You know, he had tassels on his shoes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I hadn't even noticed that until you mentioned it about those tassels. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Keep moving.
Yeah, and think about it. How did he maintain this? You know, Arguello's going, this guy's got to run out of gas eventually. It's
like this isn't a 12. This is a 15-round fight. He can't possibly do this. Yeah, he can't possibly do this for 15 rounds.
Look at him. He's fainting with it. He's shaking it. He's
feeling pretty good, right?
Yeah, so he's feeling good about himself now, right?
He's feeling good. Yeah.
He's like, I had this.
Arguello's always the same. You know, his face doesn't reveal anything. He's a total pro. But 10 rounds in.
It's like, hold me back, ref, hold me back.
Yeah,
I'm going to go get it.
Get that water up. Get that water up.
I'm ready to kick this boy's butt.
I don't care about no water. Let's go.
I'm not going to be in that corner.
Yeah, and see, I always think about this. Some people were born to do this, and see, Pryor is one of them. He was born to be a fighter. You know, people have things we're supposed to do in our lives, and most of us don't do it. Aaron Pryor, this was what he was meant to do, be a boxer. Arguello, too, for that matter.
Yeah, true.
No doubt. Oh, my goodness. 1-2 punch, lead right hand.
Yeah, and he's got his right low, but he keeps jabbing, so he keeps Arguello off balance a little bit, and Arguello's waiting like he always did, especially as he got older. But he's just faster, you know, one of those deals. He's doing the best he can do.
Right. Well, when Pryor throws the punch he's not supposed to throw, he's not there to receive the follow up.
He hit him with a good right there, but again, Pryor just
blows it off like it's no big deal.
His legs didn't even do anything. I think I'm not going to say, but I think I remember what round it is that he hits Pryor with a huge right hand that we all thought would be it. But no, I was watching this fight with my dad, and we were wowed.
Me too. Yeah. And I guess while we're at it, we should give credit to HBO Sports for carrying this fight, because this was how you saw fights back in the day.
Yep, that's right.
And I remember watching with my dad too, and it was like, You know, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. Give me another beer.
It's amazing. He just jog like he's on a jogging around the track.
Uh-huh.
Back on the bicycle, keep moving.
Ooh, that's a nice right. That's a nice right. Boom, nice combination.
Pryor finally looks like he's a little worn out, and Arguello, I think this round, and I believe the next, I think the next 2 or 3, he comes on. But see, Pryor just comes right back.
Like, okay, boom.
Arguello's thinking, okay, I hurt him, but then he's hitting me again, and I hurt him. How can that be?
And he's not holding, he's not grabbing, he's not leaning. He's like, let's go, let's dance.
Oh no! Well, the referee had basically nothing to do this whole fight. You know, that all he did was
right hand. Yeah, finding ways to slip those punches.
Yeah, he moved around more there, so I nodded at him.
I'm still here. I'm still here. Yeah.
But you got me.
Get your butt back to the stool.
But I think he was also saying, "You got me with that one. That was a good, that was a good punch." But I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm going to come out the next round after your butt, right?
Yeah.
This is just action packed, like you said. It keeps it moving, and a lot of other fights would have been gone by now. They would have been down and out. Wouldn't have been able to keep this pressure up, and they also wouldn't have been able to deal with the barrage of punches from both sides. And that's why I said before that when you think about the percentages of knockouts between the two, you know, 187, another guy like 72. That's a lot, man, for the amount of fights that they had. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
It almost seems like Arguello's really lively right now, so it's not like he's
I remember that. He comes back in these rounds some and makes you think, oh, but...
John, as you said, he hasn't changed one bit. His hair's a little mussed. That's about it.
Yeah, his eyes swollen, but everything else is the same about him. But I would think that, he was in some wars in his career that people don't remember earlier. And so he'd been in a number of these, but yeah, he was the impassive. Again, like Joe Louis, never changed expression, but he was getting hit with some wicked shots. And you think he's got to be thinking, God, what do I got to hit this guy with?
Right.
He's hitting me more than I'm hitting him, but I hit him with my Sunday punch, and he's just looking at me, nodding, going, oh, yeah, okay.
Nice left from Arguello, though.
Yeah, and what's ironic about this fight right now, and I was looking at some other stats, is that these are not like young guys either, man.
Right.
They're kind of at that point where they're getting a little older as far as fighters were concerned. I mean, Arguello fought for a long time, but still to be in your 30s and you battling like this is something you want to see you about 26, 27, right, John?
Yeah.
Not like 30, 32.
Well, I don't have it in front of me, but this is like, Arguello's fight is in the 70s. He's like 75-2 or something to this point, or something ridiculous like that.
And Pryor is 27 or 26. Oh no, 27 when they fought. Arguello's definitely older.
Yeah.
He's in his 30s somewhere. I can't remember either. I'm actually looking.
But this
he was. He was only 30.
Yeah.
Arguello was only 30.
But he's had 70 pro. But he's had 70 pro fights at this point too.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, he'd had 80 fights when he fought. 77 fights when he fought Pryor.
Okay. Now, after then we mentioned Ray Mancini. After I won't get into the details of that, but after something that happened with Ray Mancini, we didn't go past the 12th round anymore. So these are the championship rounds for the 80s back to into history. So again, this is where attrition. This is where can I keep it up? And Pryor seems to be keeping up. And I still think Arguello in the back of his head is thinking, I can take him. He hasn't hurt me really, and he's got to slow down and make a mistake. Now he's going to the body. Arguello's winning this, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah, he hit him with some wicked shots. It's amazing that he stood up under a lead right hand.
Woo,
there's your guy. There's Floyd's lead right hand right there.
Yeah.
Love that lead right hand. Ali did that really well too.
Like, did you see that one? Nope.
Nope. Did not see it.
Then he comes with a jab to the body. I mean,
and it's funny how some of those punches from Arguello are going right off his shoulder.
Yep.
You know,
That one didn't. That one didn't.
Right hand.
That was the right hand that I've been waiting for. That I remember we got.
But he comes back.
I mean, his head went like this. You know, it was hit so hard, but
it's like a pass dispenser.
And Arguello's looking at it, I just need to land a couple more of those, and I'm good.
Yeah, but here comes Pryor again.
Right back at it. A little low, but not on purpose.
He said, I slipped, but I'm still here.
Yep.
Yeah. How many times? These guys clinched once?
I don't think so. They've leaned on each other a couple times. That's about it.
Wow.
I mean, that's something nobody ever talks about, and even I forgot about that. There are no clinches in this fight. Yeah, they lean on each other a little bit, but for a second, then they start punching again. How often do you see that? Almost never.
The only work the ref has had is to keep Pryor back at the beginning of the round while they're wiping water off the floor. That's it.
This is the 13th round.
Yeah, this is the 13th round.
There he goes. There he just split him up.
Keep him up a little bit.
13th round.
Right. Wow. It's punching right through though.
You could have ref this fight with a drone. Yep.
Those punches are going right through those gloves.
Oh.
Wow.
He got hit with a lot of right hands, Arguello also. He might have hit Pryor with, look at him kind of not stagger, but okay. Here we go.
Very good that round. Can you keep it up for 2 more rounds?
6 minutes and
Damn.
Batting practice.
Where Aaron Pryor gets that reservoir of strength and spirit, it just seems as deep as the Ohio.
Give me another piece. Give me another bottle. The one I mix. Okay? Come on. I gotta win these 2 rounds, champ. All right, wait a minute.
One I mixed, Frank. Give me that bottle, the one I mixed.
Little smell of salt and something else.
The mix.
I'm gonna say that to you when I come out to Vegas to see you. Give me that one you made, Frank. The one you mixed for me. Come on, give me a shot here. Oh, look at that punch, though, man.
Yeah, well, you see what after that mix, Resto said that it was albuterol.
Oh.
Yeah, from that you use in asthma medication.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was in it. But I asked Aaron Pryor too. I talked to him. I said, Aaron Pryor, can I ask a question? He's like, yeah, go ahead. I said, what was in the bottle? He said, the love of Jesus. I said, thank you.
I thought I always heard it was like peppermint.
Schnapps.
Schnapps. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, this is the beginning of the end, I think.
Oh yeah, well it's just all those right hands.
The mix.
Now it's time for the ref to do something. Yeah.
That's the mix.
Jeez, and then the way Arguello collapsed. I mean, I remember thinking, God, he's like he's dead when he's laying there on his back and his eyes are closed. Like right here, yeah, that was just.
This is the part, and I'm not going to get into the whole politics of boxing and all that stuff and everything, but. All right, do we need 2,700 people? Who are all these people wired in the ring? While Arguello's still on his back, he's fought a valiant fight, and you got all these people in the ring. Who are these people? Why are they there? That to me is, I've always wondered that at the end of the fight, and there's always that one guy you go, who is that guy? He's at every fight. What's he doing? What is his job? And he doesn't look like it looks like he's beat up, but okay, they're gonna check him out, make sure he's got a pulse. All right, okay, and we know at this time that, and something I noticed too, that they didn't have an end swell, they had ice cubes in his quarter, and I know I cut that out, but wow, this is something.
He had to hold Pryor up. He's too.
Yeah. So, all right, as one of the top 10 fights of all time, according to Ring Magazine,
Definitely.
does that fit the bill?
Oh yeah.
And the thing when I've been doing my little bit of research here and there, I did the Ring Magazine Fights of the Year, and this wasn't a fight of the year, but it was one of the best fights of all time. I'm like, okay, I had to start looking at other things, and like, oh wow. And I remember watching this fight, and I remember the build-up because it was Pryor hadn't fought anybody. I know he's won the title and all that, but he hasn't really fought anybody, so we're not worried about him. You know, and Arguello had done what he had done, and that was the guy, you know. And then this was amazing. And we've been replaced by the Riddler again. Let's get you back in some kind of way. There we go. All right.
There I am.
But
Replaced by the Riddler. Good one.
but it's one of those things where, first of all, let's look at this from the beginning. All right, we've got Aaron Pryor, who is undefeated at this point, if I'm not mistaken, but hasn't fought that caliber of guy to be, you know, you're going to be the guy. You know, he's in a weird little group there, you know, as far as the weight class and all that. Then we've got Arguello, who is already a legend. And we've got Eddie Futch versus Panama Lewis. There are all kinds of little subplots in here that are fascinating to me. And then, of course, you have the fight. So, again, I'm going to go back to my youth, and I'm going to say, you know, even though we were Ohioans, we were rooting for Aaron Pryor, he's not going to win this fight. Arguello's too tough. And speaking of Ohioans, the way he beat Boom Boom Mancini from Youngstown, Ohio, it's like, okay, the better Ohioan lost already. So what's the guy from Cincinnati going to do? So, Charles, can you recall what you were thinking before the fight?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that.
Obviously.
Yeah, I never thought Boom Boom Mancini was better than Aaron Pryor.
Well, from the media.
No, I understand that. And the reason why I say that is because where I grew up in Dayton.
Right.
Close to Cincinnati. And I thought that it was a little bit, I don't want to throw any too much shade on that about the media, but you know, how could you not root for Aaron Pryor? You know, growing up in Dayton, the situation with race relations, I don't want to throw race in there, but real talk, he was more a man of the people. I could recognize with him where when you look at Boom Boom Mancini, where he came from, he had it tough too, but it seemed like he always, to a point, received the benefit of the doubt, right? He's a great fighter. Dad was a prize fighter as well, and, you know, Dad watched over him and whatnot. But he had, to me, I guess, that's what boxing was. He always had that extra little upper hand. When you look at Aaron Pryor, what you see? You see a guy that comes out, like John said, where the hell did he come from? Why are you able to go that extra mile that nobody else can?
Right.
But a lot of time experience to do that. But to your point, yeah, I can see where the media, he was more or less, Boom Boom Mancini was more or less the golden boy of Ohio and of boxing. So I give you that point. But, I mean, like I said, Aaron Pryor had not lost to that point. But I think because he had not had one of those so-called marquee fights yet, he didn't receive the accolades that he was deserving of. And even afterwards, he still didn't, in my opinion. You're right.
Yeah. So, John, you said you were watching this with your dad. So, what was the thought going into this fight? You know, Arguello was Arguello. Is that? Well, we'll just wait till the inevitable.
Well, okay. Let me say something about my paisan, Boom Boom Mancini. I have to say something. I mean, obviously, I liked him, but see, he was more of a media creation because the media loved the story about his dad.
Right.
About Lenny Mancini. I mean, hell, they made a movie about it.
Right.
You know, Robert Blake played Lenny Mancini. It was produced by Stallone in the 1980s. You know, we were suckers for that. Nobody made a movie about Aaron Pryor.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
Nobody talked about it. But who was better? Oh, Aaron Pryor, hands down. You see, so my point is it doesn't always matter who's better. It's your story is more interesting, and people bought into it. This poor kid from Ohio, he's trying to win the title for his daddy. You know, and I mean, I liked it, but I remember my dad and I watched Boom Boom Mancini, and I can remember him honestly looking at me and go, you know, he's not that good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty good, but he's not. And then he gets another shot after a year, you know, a year later after Arguello beats him. It was like, so, yeah, he was good, but so, yeah, Pryor definitely was shortchanged. No doubt about it. And we all three of us likely know why. But Boom Boom had a break. Now that fight, yeah, I was thinking what you did, Frank. I was thinking that my dad and I both thought that Arguello was going to win. We hadn't seen Arguello lose in years. He was the taller guy. He was the more what's the word I'm looking for? Not classy already. He just seemed like a better fighter. You know, those flaws we were talking about. Sugar Ray Leonard was, yeah, he'd get him eventually, because I'd seen Pryor get knocked down in another fight, and it's like he's going to get exposed. I remember when the fight was over, we looked over at each other and went, "Damn."
Arguello fit the bill. When you show the picture of a boxer, you show Alexis Arguello. When you show somebody how to throw a jab or how to throw a right cross or whatever, you show Alexis Arguello. He is the guy in the gym that is your standard. That is who you show how to do something. Pryor, you don't teach that to anybody.
No, you can't teach what he did.
And I'm not even sure he could teach it to himself. You know, but again, as we said throughout the fight, he knew what he was doing, even if it didn't look like he knew what he was doing. Yeah. Now, okay, I haven't looked at this because I've been busy with other things in my mind. Who are the other fighters? And we said Boom Boom Mancini. Now, I'm going to get maybe out of time frame here, but the guys that were able to, for Pryor to fight, was that in the Greg Haugen age, or is that after this? I'm just trying to remember the guys that were out there that were not the classic fighters, or that were the classic fighters. I can't remember anybody in this weight class that Aaron Pryor could fight, which is why this was such a big deal. And somebody get me up to speed on that, because I can't recall. Was there anybody you would have went, yeah, he should have fought this guy?
Well, just real fast. I mean, he fought Arguello again, I think a year later, when I talked about when I was there, and then he fought one. And I'm trying to remember. I should have peeked on BoxRec before we started, but then he took some time off because he had some problems, right? I mean, a few years, like 3 years later. So Haugen ended up fighting Boom Boom in the early 90s. So Haugen would probably had started. I hate to say this because I could be wrong, but he just missed on Haugen and Vinny Paz and those guys. I think he was
that's what I was thinking. Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I mean, come on. Haugen would have been fun for him to watch, because Haugen was another guy that was kind of unorthodox and tough as hell and awkward. But Pryor was, again, it's almost like you did this perfectly, Frank, when we did the tribute to Michael Spinks, and then a few weeks later we do this. Pryor is one of those guys that I don't think, again, has never really received the credit. He lost one fight.
Right.
Yeah. One. Not 10, like Holyfield. He lost one. And so I would have favored him over any of those guys that you mentioned. If he had fought Haugen, if he had fought Vinny Paz, he would have beat him.
And I just did a quick look, and Vinny Paz, Livingston Bramble, those guys came a little bit later. So,
yes.
Yeah, so in his prime, if that's what we're going to call it, and of course there's something to be said, as we said about Larry Holmes, we said about a lot of people. Just because there wasn't anybody to fight doesn't mean there wasn't anybody to fight. The reason there wasn't anybody to fight, there wasn't anyone to fight, is because you cleaned out the division. And so, I'm sorry, go ahead, Charles.
No, I said, I mean, you're absolutely right. But then, too, I think when you mentioned about him being unorthodox, and I think certain people, they speak to you. I mean, John, when I played basketball, Frank can tell you, I shot a layups off the wrong foot. So, and he used to laugh at me all the time because I wasn't conventional when I shot layups, but I had it working. So for somebody that had it, I could make the layup easy. But for somebody that did the same thing, was unorthodox, plus two, we mentioned before that he nowhere in hell was he a media darling. I mean, he wasn't polished. When you look at his style, there's nothing polished about that. He gets the job done. He had a lot of other things going on. And the media at that time was more about We want the guy that's polished. We want that great story, the Boom Boom Mancini story.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Like when you think about, was it Over the Rhine in Cincinnati? One of the toughest places in Cincinnati, Ohio. You never know what was going to happen if you went down there. Nobody's come down to do any movies or media or anything like that. So I think that's where the underdog part for me really kind of spoke, because he wasn't supposed to do what he did. And I love that, because there's no explanation for it. It's kind of like the pyramids. Anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. But no explanation for why that happened, except for it came from space. But that's another story. But that's why I like him. After getting the chance to meet him and really talk to him, he was a nice guy. He didn't care about money either, man. Dude just wanted to fight. He didn't really care. The money he said was for other people. That is, to me, says a lot about him as a character. Even though he went through hell in the handbasket, he's a simple dude who just fought. He's a hell of a champion.
And let me jump in here with this real fast. I think too is, we forget boxing is an individual sport. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have your own style. Whatever it is, it's yours. You're talking about Charles with his wrong foot farmer over there on his layups. I mean, when I played basketball, got to bring up basketball a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember Jumpin' Joe Ellis played for the Golden State Warriors. You remember? Wow, I'm impressed. His shot was a line drive, and not like Purvis short. Remember Purvis used to hit the top of the like raindrop, and my shot was a line drive. I like Jumpin' Joe. I mean, I rarely put the correct lob. Mine were just whoosh, like that. And again, the point is that everybody had their own style. So you look at Arguello, you're going to look at him and go, wow, this guy's this. But then you got the other guy who's doing it his own way, rocking to his own beat. How's he doing? Damn good. So especially in boxing or golf or whatever, it's an individual sport. He found what really worked for him, and he made it. He was the best he could be. So again, he deserves all the credit in the world, Aaron Pryor.
Yeah, and again, as we said throughout the course of the fight, we didn't want to hijack this one of the greatest fights of all time by just talking about Aaron Pryor. But Aaron Pryor is the one that stuck out. But let's give Arguello credit for his career, what he did in this fight, and all that. And I knew we were going to do that, because I knew we were going to be drawn to that, the mix of the whole 9 yards, because this was Aaron Pryor's coming out party. But let's be honest, he couldn't look as good as he did if he had blasted Arguello out in 3 rounds. Arguello had to be taken out, and even at the end, he was still looking to land that shot. Now, maybe in retrospect, and maybe we look at the second fight later, maybe in retrospect he shouldn't have been looking for just one shot. I don't know. But maybe because, as we mentioned, in the first 2 rounds, Pryor fought this way. In rounds 3 and 4, he fought another way. In rounds 4 and 6, he brought in something else. Arguello could never really tell what the hell was coming. Okay, I'm ready to make an adjustment to that. What? Now he's going to jab. I'm ready to make an adjustment to that. Now he's going to the body. But I think Arguello was still in the fight because he had, in his mind, as Charles mentioned, the knockout ratios, he still had a puncher's chance. Yeah. And this is a 3-division champion looking to be the first person.
Yeah, and he was behind on 2 of the scorecards, if I remember, and he was ahead on one of them, Arguello was. So he was going to have to score a knockout to win. But I remember him after the fight. I mean, they got to be really good, close friends, if I remember correctly, Arguello and Pryor. A boatload of respect, Frank. And he just said, I couldn't deal with his changing and doing that. I mean, and you could see it during the fight. Think about playing basketball against a guy that he's fast one moment, then he slows it down. He goes mano a mano with you, and then he starts doing other things. I mean, that's hard to deal with somebody who has that much ability, and that's what he did. I mean, he fought a great fight. You're right. Arguello fought a great fight. I don't think if I was Arguello, even though I would be hurting for months after that, I think I'd be saying, look, I gave it everything plus I had. I mean, he didn't give it 100%. He gave it 100%.
125, right, yeah.
Yes. He hit him with everything. He took all those shots before his body finally said, I can't take anymore, and he got stopped, and he just collapsed, and that's what happened.
And we seem to be having a little technical difficulty with Mr. Farmer here, but I'm sure he's going to get that straightened out, or something's going to happen. He's there, but he's not there. So,
Right.
but
Person picked on me, now it's picking on Charles.
yeah, in my opinion, he's never looked any better. But that's another story. But okay, so we're gonna go back to radio. Can you still contribute?
Oh, no doubt. You
Okay.
can hear me. You can hear me? Yeah. I just want to say anything. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but I think that part of it is when you think about sports, we've seen this time and time again, particularly with team sport, that some people just have your numbers. What we call, you're a Superman fan. Some people are your kryptonite. And I think that the style that Aaron Pryor fought, the way that he came at Arguello, it was hard to figure him out. And you said he was so exhausted, he gave all that he had. And sometimes that's all you have. That's all you can do. And team sports the same way. I mean, how many times does it take for a team to get over the hump? Can we talk about the old Milwaukee Bucks in the 70s and the 80s? They just could not find a way to get over. They were, at all of the great teams, they were dynamic and talented, but they could not get over the hump, getting past the conference finals. And when you look at Arguello the same way, I mean, there weren't many people. There was probably no one else that gave him the trouble that Aaron Pryor did. And when you think about the knockout ratio, and you also think about his record and what he's able to do, particularly more or less in his prime, I think this guy, simply put, was his kryptonite. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah, when you think about the talent, that's not a bad thing.
Well, it's something that John says quite often, and when we reiterate this often, styles make fights. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just don't have an answer for that style, at least at that particular point in time. Now, again, if he sticks with Eddie Futch for the rematch, and they plot it out, maybe he's got a chance. I don't know. We'll have to take a look at that later and see. But it's the idea of when you're confronted with something that you haven't ever seen before, and no one has ever seen it until they get to it. The old Mike Tyson adage, you can have the greatest plan in the world until you get punched in the face. Well, when you're getting punched in the face from 17 different angles, and they're not the punches you've prepared for. Now, let's look at this realistically. If you're Alexis Arguello and you've been in the gym since you were probably 9 years old, and you've been shown the classical way of fighting and the classical way to respond, and you've had 80-some pro fights and however many countless amateur fights, you've seen everything that every classical fighter can throw at you. Now here you are, you're a 3-time weight champion, you're going for your 4th weight division belt, you're one of the best fighters on the planet. You've seen everything. You've got Eddie Futch in your corner, who has probably seen even more than you have. And you get out there in the first round and go, what the hell is this? I mean, there's no way that should even happen. And it's being done well. And we've all played against that guy. Then you go, what's he doing? And then he falls down and rolls down or over and sprains somebody's ankle. You go, no, just go play over there by yourself and play a game of horse against somebody's daughter. You understand that it's unorthodox and it's dangerous and he can't play. But when you see something that you shouldn't see at this point in your career, anything new, you've seen him on film, you go, nah, and you see it in person, and you're like, whoa. And again, John, you mentioned that he was stoic, but can you sense the bewilderment in his head going, how am I getting hit with these things? That's got to be tough. And again, as you're trying to figure it out, he's hitting you more.
Yeah, he did look bewildered to me a few times. And obviously he's confident. But there's also the old saying that there's always somebody better than you. And I just think that because of the versatility that Pryor had, that made him all around better. At least at this point. I mean, maybe you could make a point that Arguello had 80 fights and maybe he was past it a little bit. I remember when he had problems with Boom Boom when he stopped. But that always takes the credit away from the guy who won, and I don't like that. He was only 30, but again, he'd had 80 fights. That's a lot, and he'd been in some wars. His fight with Ruben Olivares was just a barn burner a number of years before that, and that takes it out of you. Your body's only got so much, but there's always just that guy, and you keep talking about sports. I ran into it a number of times playing basketball where, you start to think you're hot shit, and then some guy just comes around and you go, well, I guess I'm not as good as I thought. So he was great, Alex. I don't use that term lightly. He was a great fighter. Hall of Fame fighter and all that. But that style, you mentioned a few minutes ago, that style that Pryor brought, and later in his career, as Arguello got older, guys boxed him more, and he had problems because he couldn't pull the trigger anymore.
Right.
And this was it for him. He was never the same after this fight. And
I think that's an important point that we didn't bring up. He was always seemed to be in this fight just a tad slow.
Yes.
Just a little bit slow.
Just a little behind.
Yeah. He looked like he pulled the trigger and it was instead of boom. It was just a little bit slow. But that has to be with confused as well. If you're not sure that this is going to work, you go a little bit slower and a little more cautious. Of course, Pryor had nothing to do with being cautious. So, okay. So, and is this fair to say now, as we're getting into these fights we're doing and all this good fun stuff, is this fair to say, Charles, that this belongs in the top 10, top 20, top 50?
Definitely top 20 for me. It might be top 10, definitely top 20 because of the factor that the contrast in the styles, I think that means a lot. But it also shows you that neither one of those guys wanted to give up. I mean, you can say what you want to, but you can never say Alexis Arguello was a quitter. He was not. He just didn't have. He ran out of juice, and that's normal for any athlete. If you don't have anything left to give, I think about that, comparing contrast about the styles, and sometimes the guy's just better than you or he's faster than you. I think about when Sugar Shane Mosley fought Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya is fast at the time, world-class guy, but he just could not get off first. No matter what he did, he tried. He's like, I'm coming back. Nope. And he's just still looking at him like, what in the hell is this in front of me? And I think this was another classic example of, as you mentioned, some guy just has your number, but also, exceeds in a certain area as far as talent is concerned better than you do. It doesn't make you a shameful or a bad guy or somebody that's not good enough. It's just sometimes that happens. And it's bewildering to a fighter because, as you guys have mentioned, to have had that many fights, defeat who he did, and was a clearly world-class champion and future Hall of Famer, there's usually not many things in his boxing career that he could not, Arguello that is, figure out. But this is one of them.
Well, I'm going to run this list down real quick. I'm going to give you the top 10. Okay, the top 10 from Ring Magazine appeared in the holiday issue 1996. Ali Frazier in 1975. Rocky Graziano, Tony Zale in 1947. Jack Dempsey and Louis Firpo, 1923. Frazier Ali, 1971. Tony Zale, Rocky Graziano, 1946. Joe Louis, Billy Conn, 1941. Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, 1985. The number 8 fight on the list is this fight, Aaron Pryor versus Alexis Arguello, 1982. Number 9, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns in 1981. And number 10, Joe Gans versus Battling Nelson in 1906. So, I think that because maybe our era is 70s, 80s, 90s, and I know for myself, I try not to say this is the greatest era of all time. Let's focus on these fights. Maybe there's a fight in 2014 I missed. Maybe there's a fight in 1927 I missed. But Ring Magazine, of course, was published in 1996, so it has something to do with it, has kind of gone along with the same things that we've said. Now, obviously, we've got Graziano, Zale, blah, blah, blah. But this is the spectrum of everything. And this fight comes out at number 8. So, and again, there are a lot more fights to see, a lot more fights to discuss. And John's going, I don't know. But number 8 may be a stretch, but not much.
Well, I knew you threw the Joe Gans reference in there, Frank. I'm not that old. I wasn't around in 1906 to see that fight. Jeez. But actually, while you were talking, I was thinking the fight we watched last week, Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales, I think that was a better fight. I mean, not taking anything away from this fight, because this fight had all the significance that even raised it more. You know, you got champion, you got Arguello, you got the legendary God champion from Nicaragua, you got the young hotshot Pryor that people are like, he's going to get knocked on his butt, and it was on prime time, if I remember, like 6 o'clock from outside in Florida, blah 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 blah. But that fight, I hadn't seen that fight last week in years, and that one was just amazing. So I don't know. I think 8 is too high for me. The rest of them, I really don't have a problem with it, especially Ali Frazier 75. We got to watch that one soon.
Yeah. I think it's like Charles and I were talking about the NBA 70 or 50 at 50. Okay, it's time to update it. You know, this list was made in 1996. I think the fight we talked about last week was in 99, if I'm not mistaken, or 2000 or whatever it was. So yeah. So okay, we've got a few years to go, and we've got another. I find it hard to believe another 2 decades after this, almost 25 years after this list was made, which makes me feel old. That we've got to look at. But again, that's what keeps this relevant, keeps it fun. This is the cool thing about Charles. Go ahead. I'm going to ramble, so stop me.
No, it's good. I was just saying that. They made their list when it was coming out, but you know, to have a couple rematches in there, I think, you know, you check one of them and let's slide something else in, because you already know there's no way in hell I don't think that Pacquiao Juan Manuel Marquez #1 is not in there, bro. 3 knockdowns in the first round and then come back to a draw. That's one of the greatest boxing matches I've ever seen in my life. And it surprised me because I didn't know who the hell they were.
Right.
That's what made it even better. That's what they made it even better. And I went on to really enjoy watching these world-class Hall of Famer guys and never knew who the hell they were. I just happened to turn the TV on, and they surprised me, and they've been impacting my life in boxing ever since. Well,
and then there are fights and fighters that we don't give, in general, credit to for being great fighters because maybe they had their moment in the sun. I look at Corrales-Castillo. Jose Luis Castillo against Diego Corrales. That was a freaking blast to watch, you know, and that's one of those fights that I think deserves to be moved up there. But again, you know, we're looking at Arturo Gatti and Ivan Robinson. You know, there's another fight that was like, what in the world did we see here? And you know, you've got Matthew Saad, Franklin Muhammad Jr. and Marvin Johnson. You know, all these things, and that's on the list down the road a little bit. But those are the fights I think that, you know, not to say that we're just going to talk about things that happened in the past, but right now, unfortunately, there's not a lot of present. So it's not a bad idea to do it. But to be able to bring these things back, not only to the fans, by the way, all of you people that have been watching these fights that haven't watched this before, thank you very much. But not just bring it back to the fans, but for ourselves, you know.
Oh yeah,
why do we love it?
And you know, I got to say something about Marquez. I mean, the comeback that guy made is what I'm always going to be amazed by. That reminds me. I thought this is an old one that a lot of people haven't probably seen. It was Durrell against Archie Moore. I think 1959. Archie Moore's already in his 40s. He gets knocked down like 5 or 6 times in the first 4 or 5. The fight is over, right? Wrong. He comes back and knocks Durrell out.
Yeah,
so that was like that in a sense, and we have to watch because I haven't watched that one since I did, and I think Pacquiao was wowed by Marquez because I'll say it, we've said it 100 times, but you're watching the first round, and I remember watching it going, this one's over.
Yeah,
it's over, and again, that tells you about that grit that some of these guys have. Marquez, how did he come back? And then he started to figure out. Pacquiao, how did he come back from getting knocked down like that? It's just, I see you want to say something, Frank. Go ahead. It was just amazing.
Well, no, that's one of those fights, and Charles, we've never mentioned this before, but that's one of those fights where, yes, we were introduced to 2 people that we really hadn't seen that much before. But if it weren't for Marquez, this is my opinion. I have no way to base this in fact, but if it weren't for Marquez coming back and fighting that to a draw, and exposing Pacquiao for, as we called him, the one-trick pony, we may not have had the Manny Pacquiao that we got, or we may not have got Manny Pacquiao, because that, I'm going to assume, forced Pacquiao to develop more than just that straight left down the middle. He had to learn how to throw from angles. He had to learn how to control pace. He had to learn to do a lot of things because of that fight. And the rematch, and like, okay, wait, I just can't do the same thing all the time. I've got to do more stuff. And now the Pacquiao we see, 174 years later, that is phenomenal because of all the things and the multitude of things he can do. That guy didn't exist in that fight. And I think that fight put him put him back in the lab and said, I got to learn more stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point, Frank. That's true. That guy that we saw in that fight, that's one thing about Pacquiao. He seemed to learn from certain things. He's not whatever. He changed his style as he got older. He's not as aggressive as he was. He tries to be a little smarter about it. The young Pacquiao was just gung ho, almost like Pryor in a sense. He was almost you could call him reckless. He'd be throwing all kinds, and he'd run into punches.
Yeah.
But he became more refined, and Freddie Roach undoubtedly helped him with that. But that's really a good point.
But Charles, you remember saying, he's throwing that straight left down the middle, and that's all he's got.
Yeah, and it works. See, I think part of it too is when you have something that other people can't deal with, then you just keep doing it because you don't have to change. And I think perhaps Marquez was probably one of the first times that guys like, okay, I may not be as exciting as you. I may not be knocking people out like you do, but damn it, I'm here and I'm a fighter. And I think that's the one thing that people don't. Marquez didn't really get credit for,
right?
Because he was probably, in my opinion, Pacquiao's toughest matchup. I mean, all the way through, even when he went to 147, the one guy that he struggled with more than anything was Marquez, because you notice he never knocked him out. And Pacquiao was known from beating up a so-called washed out or older De La Hoya. He took a lot of other people down. But the one guy that was like, I don't give a damn. If you come and fight me, I got you. I got you. And he said, well, the only way I want to beat you is knock you out. And that's what Marquez did. But the whole point of that is that I think he was just kryptonite. Because Marquez was just as skilled. He knew what Pacquiao was going to do. And it was almost like they were made for one another when they battled. That's what made the way that when they fought one another, it was classic. Because like, oh, you gonna do this? Okay, I'm coming back over here. Blah, blah, blah. And at the end, it was like Marquez like, this time I got him. Marquez is like, and everybody's like, you're not getting this decision.
Yep.
What you do?
Yeah, and real fast, that last fight between them, I remember thinking, Pacquiao was doing really well. Marquez was bleeding, and he looked wobbled a few times. And later on, he might have went down right before he got knocked out. But when he knocked Pacquiao down with that right hand, and Pacquiao kind of collapsed, I went,
oh my.
Boy.
Yeah,
that was an oh my moment. That's right, because you hadn't seen that. And his body just collapsed. He got like he got hit with a bomb.
Right.
And it was literally like, whoa. And Pacquiao had a look on his face like, what happened? This guy hadn't done this to me. He might have made me wobble a few times, but he hadn't made me. He went down, not hard, but he went down. There was no doubt about it. So that was when I thought, oh, this guy, he's got one plan. He's going to knock Manny Pacquiao out. And he did it.
And I think that brings it full circle, because I believe that was the same thing that we were looking at from Alexis Arguello. My goal in this fight is to win this by KO. And especially once the fight got rolling, it's like, I'm not going to outpoint this guy. There's just no way. He's throwing too many punches from too many angles. He's going to outpoint me. But I can still catch him. And that's what makes it a classic.
And wear him down. I think thought he was going to wear Pryor down. Or Pryor was going to wear himself down, and he was going to, because he was going to the body. I'm sure you saw that. He was Pryor was hitting Pryor with some good body shots. So he thought he's going to tire himself out because he can't go this hard. And I'm going to keep hitting him in the body to bring it along faster. But other than a little bit where he got a little tired, he rebounded, and that was it.
Well, me real quick though.
Sure.
Is I think when the Marquez knockout of Pacquiao, it almost seemed like it was true poetic justice, right? Because the number of times that they fought, he could not get the win. And not saying that the two fights between Arguello and Pryor weren't classics, which they were, but it was like if they had fought a third time with different circumstances and they were both younger, right? You would have said to yourself, is he going to get him this time? And I think that's when you look at it like, okay, we're both that third time. There's always a chance, and that's how they dupe you in. Watch the fourth fight with Pacquiao and Marquez. I was like, Frank was looking at me like, you gonna watch this again? He's like, I'm not watching that again. I said, I don't care. Marquez, there has to be some poetic justice here. He has to win one of these fights.
Did he ever get it?
Yeah.
But they have been cheating him forever. I'm like, you can't tell even a draw besides the first one, right? Another draw would have been nice. But yeah, that was amazing.
It was like watching a Glenn Coffey Johnson fight and go, no matter what he does, he's got to get the knockout, and that's not the way he fights. So, you know, when he came back and was fighting at 168 and looked like he'd been, you know, emaciated for 6 months, like, okay, he's lost some weight. He's lost a lot of weight to fight at one. It didn't matter. It didn't. He's just not going to. That guy that's not going to get the decision. So, okay, we have a ton of fights we can watch. We have a ton of things we can do. We know some fights are going on. Showtime just ran a series on Saturday, I believe. I'm trying to get somebody from Showtime to talk to us. Good luck with that. But I'm working on it. So it would be nice. But just as we go, for those of you that are still here, these are the people I want to bring this message to. Now, hit the like and subscribe and share buttons, all that crap, because you've actually watched everything. Not the person that just went, I watched 10 seconds and I like it. You haven't liked anything. That's counterproductive to what I should be saying. Sorry about that. That's what I believe. Okay. Second.
Excuse me, hold up. Can I say one thing?
Please, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you watch it for 10 seconds, hit that damn like button.
You bet.
We can do those other logistics later on. We need as many damn likes as we can get. Thank you. So
ignore Frank.
We will deal with you later on, Frank, off air. Right
watch
now,
it.
Okay.
If you watch for 30 seconds, I need you. Please, I need you. Damn me.
Watch it for 2 seconds and then like. I don't care. So whatever works.
Damn me, why you do this to me? Why you treat me like this? Anyway, but yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Please just like.
Could have been a contender. I could have been.
All right. I'm just going to say this, though, to piggyback on that. That emotional plea would have made a lot more sense if it wasn't an hour and 24 minutes into the show. So I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna cut this out and put it at the beginning.
Well, I'm gonna say it. So now all of a sudden you worried about time anyway.
No, I'm saying if you're gonna tell people to watch for 2 seconds and then go ahead and do something, it should be in the first 2 seconds of the show, not an hour and 20 minutes later.
Too much logic, Frank.
Hey, we gotta thank.
Again, let me just say this: I am an unorthodox person. Like Aaron Pryor, let it roll, baby.
I would.
And we got to thank whatever was happening. People are watching us now, and thank you for people out there that are watching us. I love it. We had like our family watching us for months, if that. Even they would watch for a few minutes. But now we got all people. They're finding us. They're discovering us, and that's just.
We're gaining steam.
About that. So thank you.
Our last show increased our viewership by 300%.
Yes,
which isn't bad. At all. So I'm gonna edit this like Quentin Tarantino. I'm gonna play the end first, so you can be. All right, and on that note, we've all said what we need to say about where we can be found and what we can do. So thank you once again. I think that like we've said, there are fights out there. Plenty of fights out there. We can find a clean copy of everything. And, of course, we're going to give credit to where credit is due, where we found the fight. And, again, this was on HBO Sports. I'd love to be able to get in touch with somebody at HBO Sports and say, people need to see what you're doing or what you did. That library of fights that you had, that's got to be out there someplace. So we're going to try and give love to that as well. So thank you once again, folks. Again, the 300% of people that have watched this that didn't watch before, tell 2 friends, and they'll tell 2 friends, and we've got another shampoo commercial going. So,
good.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, and y'all have a great and wonderful day.